You ever seen a robot with a windshield wiper? Well, now you have. Well, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi, my autonomous lawnmower. And I'll be real with y'all, the first time I heard of a robot lawnmower, I thought that was just something for rich folks and techie people. But having this mower myself has changed my perspective on robot lawnmowers. Now, first and foremost, before we go any further, Mammotion did send me this robot to try out, but I'll admit, I was really skeptical at first. So I'm gonna pose a question. Can a robot mower like this replace a traditional lawnmower? Spoiler alert, yes it can. So what makes me qualified to make that assessment? Well, I haven't been just running this for 3 weeks. I've been running this for 3 months. And I've been running on my tall fescue out here, as well as my other grass. Back here, I also have Bermuda grass, which is cut short right here, and then it's cut longer back over there. Not only do I have that, but I also have a bent grass putting green right here that I cut the first few mowings with, plus I have ryegrass over there that's cut at 1 inch. And I've tested every single height setting that this mower has in 5 different applications with 4 different grass types. I put a whole new meeting to the mowing zones that Mammotion offers in its app. So for those of you who just love breaking out the old trusty mower, this might not be for you, but that's what we're gonna dive into today. I'm gonna try to give you the real value of this to help you make a decision whether or not a robot mower might be for you. And I encourage you to go through the chapters that I've set below if you're looking for something specific. So I'm gonna just start off by giving you the facts about this thing, the specs, and then we'll get into all the other good stuff. So this is the YUKA 1500. This is one of 2 two-wheel drive models that they offer. They do offer a all-wheel drive called the Luba, I believe, which I've never tried, so I can't tell you anything about that, but I know Ryan Knorr had it on his page. You can go watch his video. Looks pretty sweet. So this is the 1500. The other two-wheel drive model is a 2000, and the only difference that I can tell is the amount of yard that it can mow on a single charge. So this can mow up to 0.37 acres, while the 2000 can mow a half an acre. So this can handle up to 10 mowing zones, while the 2000 can handle up to 20. So mowing zones are just predetermined areas that you separate your yard into on the app. So these wheels right here are what power it, and then up front here we have a swiveling wheel that steers it. So this mower does have a floating deck, which just means it's independent from the frame, and it will respond to undulations in the turf on the spot, which is great for Bermuda folks. Big worry for us is scalping. And speaking of this deck, it'll cut from just over 1 inch all the way up to just under 4 inches. So it's safe to say between 1 and 4 inches. So the width of the mow from outside edge to outside edge is 12.5 inches. And as you can see, it uses these small pivoting razor blades. And these are razor blades. They work for a very clean cut. Plus they're really low maintenance. All you need is a couple minutes and a screwdriver to switch them out. All right, now I'm gonna show y'all my favorite part about this mower. Boom, the bagging system. Check this out. So this mower has its own bagging system, and it just plugs into the mower. You just sit it on top here like this, and then you have this plug. It has its own battery power system that controls the dumping feature. All you got to do is plug it in here. And it came with this counterweight that I installed to balance it out. And speaking of batteries, this comes with a 4.5 amp hour battery, and this comes with a 4.5 amp hour battery for a total of 9 amp hours. Next up, let's talk about the GPS system that navigates this. And I'm not technical whatsoever, so I'll talk about this for the common man, by the common man, and I'll sprinkle in some definitions that I Googled. So this is what's known as an RTK system, which as I Googled stands for real-time kinematic system. And that is the source of the precision positioning, say that 3 times fast, of the mower. So it sits between the mower and a satellite, and it relays the positioning to guide it. It has accuracy down to a centimeter. Now it's a fixed position system, so I just have it here in the backyard, but the ultimate spot to have it would be up on the roof. Perfect spot between the satellite and the mower. And it does come with this alternate bracket in case you want to screw it to a post, or if you found a spot in the house that you wanted to set it up, all you got to do is just screw that RTK system off the top and then just stick it on here, and it has a locking mechanism. The last piece of the puzzle is this charging station that the mower will call home. So the mower will automatically navigate back to this. If it's running low on battery, I think if it gets down to 15%, it'll charge up to 80%, or when it's done mowing, it'll always go back here on its own. As for the mower, there's a couple of controls on the top. I don't really use these much because most of it can be controlled in the app. Sometimes I use this if it gets caught on something, but I do use this to control the height of the cut. 3 is all the way down, 10 is all the way up. So let's talk about what it's like to actually own this thing and the real world applications for this mower. So let's start out with the setup. How long did it take me to set this thing up? Like I said, I'm not very techie, but honestly, from the time I opened the box to the time I was mowing was under an hour. It was super easy. Everything's in the app. The app's easy. You just download it on whatever app store you have. And really, the only time consuming thing was trying to find a good spot for the RTK system. I originally put it right in this corner because I thought that would be a good spot for it, but I didn't think about the overhang of the house, so it ended up blocking the signal, so that wasn't a good spot, so I ended up moving to where it was right now. And I wasn't sure if that was gonna be its forever spot, but I ended up keeping it there, and I actually do like it in that spot. So the app is very simple to use. I'm not gonna tell you guys how to go through an app because you've done it a million times. You just download it and follow the simple directions. You will need an email and stuff like that. But once you get all those little details figured out, you'll figure out the app super easy. You can go on and you can connect to your mower like that. This is where you control it manually. The one thing I will say, don't forget to upgrade the firmware on both the RTK and the mower. You can connect to both separately. Now let me show you how the mapping's done. So like I said, mapping is super simple. All you have to do is connect to the mower and you can turn it into a legitimate video game controller. All you do is press this stick and look who's mowing in the background. Want it to turn right? You just turn it right. Now you will get good at this because the truth is you'll end up remaking your map. It's just a fact of it. First time you do it, you can botch it. It's pretty easy. Now I will say the best thing to do is turn down that speed of that mower. And I'll walk you guys through it as if I was mapping this area. I already have it mapped, but I'll show you my phone and then I'll show you what the mower's doing. All right, so what you're gonna start doing is bring it to a corner and then you just wanna slowly walk it along the edge. Now don't get all the way close to the edge because it will fall off. Like I have the flower bed over there that has a pretty tall edge on it, but you're just gonna walk behind it. I'm doing this haphazardly. Just walk it that way. My favorite part about this is it tells you the square footage, which really helps when I'm trying to do fertilizer applications, or if I was guesstimating based on Google Earth. This is like the ultimate way to figure that out. And I reel mow this area, so it's down below an inch at this point, so I'm not worried about him mowing this. But then it would finish up right there. The app knows when it's back in the location where it started, and it'll say area complete. It'll tell you that it has its task area, and then you can mow it. Now mapping's where things get cool, and my yard's actually the perfect yard to show you guys the capabilities because I actually have to use them. One great feature is the no-go zone. So basically you can decide areas within the task area that you've mapped out where it won't go. For example, here on my putting green, hopefully you guys can see it, I just mow the collars. It's longer on the outside, and then on the inside it's mowed with a putting green mower, so it's not gonna be able to do that. So I was able to map out a no-go zone on the inside and just have it mow the outside. The way that most people would probably use the application is if they had a flower bed or a tree or something that's right in the middle of the yard. You're also able to set pathways. So for example, this legitimate path right there, there's a zone that I put right through the middle that I guided the mower through, and it knows to take that path all the time. So since I have a couple zones in the backyard, there's a path right there, there's a path right there, and then on the outside going into the front yard, I have a path in through the gates. You also set a pathway from the charging unit to whatever first zone you want. That way everything's intentional. This thing's not gonna take a path that you haven't set it on, so it's not gonna bump into anything that you didn't expect it to. This is also helpful if it has to cross a driveway. You can set the path up by the garage. That way nothing ever gets ran over or it's down by the sidewalk or anything like that. And here's a cool feature for you. You can even set a path to a dumping spot. So my dumping spot is under the trampoline for back here. That way, when I'm mowing this area, which this is Bermuda, and I use the sweeping feature back here constantly, one, because we're under a bunch of trees, but two, the Bermuda creates a lot of thatch. It's just nicer, it looks nicer whenever I sweep it, and then it just goes under there and dumps under the trampoline. That way I can have a specific spot for it. The sweeping feature is also nice because it's not suction from the mower. It's an actual physical sweeper. So back here where we walk a lot, there's a lot of foot traffic, and the grass gets matted down a lot, so it's been helping me fluff that grass up right there. All right, the next order of business, noise. Is this thing loud? Absolutely not. That's one of my favorite parts about it. It is electric, but I know some electric mowers are still pretty noisy. This thing's silent. It's mowing right now as we're speaking. I can't hear it. Here you go. Hopefully you can hear it, or lack thereof. And you can see it's actually cutting grass, so it's on. Nothing. I'm telling you, I could run this thing at 1 a.m., 4 a.m., wouldn't be a problem whatsoever. I was out here talking to my neighbor one day. He didn't even know I had this thing, and I had had it for months and ran it like every single day. So in terms of not being obnoxious, this thing is absolutely perfect. Now, how is this thing for cut quality? Well, I'll be honest with you, you won't get this to bush hog your overgrown lawn ever. This thing is made for light maintenance, perfect for those daily or every other day mows just to get the top third off. Kind of like how my mom used to say, clean a little bit a day and you won't ruin your Saturday. Well, this thing's the exact same mentality. That's kind of the purpose of the mower though. Since it's all controlled by the app, you can set it to a schedule. It can mow every single day if you want it to, and it'll always keep your lawn looking tidy. That way you never get to the point that you have to cut a long lawn. It's more of a set it and forget it type of deal. That's just kind of the way this thing works. That's the MO for these things. And one cool use for these light razor blades is the fact that it's perfect for overseeding. So since having this mower, I've overseeded this area, I've overseeded my bent grass putting green, and I overseeded my whole front yard up here. And I'm a big believer of getting the first few mows in on new young grass. It helps it thicken up and get tougher. And these light razor blades were the absolute perfect thing because this mower does not have any suction. So you're not threatening it by sucking it out of the ground. It's just trimming off the top. Plus you don't have to worry about walking on any new grass. So one of the coolest features of this mower in an app is that you can customize the cut. So right now it's cutting cutting vertically this way, you can cut it any sort of direction. You just go into the app here and then you can change the direction of the mow. You can also adjust how many perimeter cuts it has. I only do one because I like to see the lines all the way up to the top. I don't want it to have 3 different layers of perimeter cuts. Again, that's up to you how you want to do it. Now, one thing I wish you could control from the app was the height of cut, so you could set different cutting heights to different zones, but maybe they're working on that in the future. But really, how many wackos cut their yard in 5 different ways? It sounds like something that would just benefit me. Next up, let's talk about the GPS system and my experience with it. So far I haven't had any issues. The one hiccup that I did have was I moved this post to another spot thinking it would just recognize where the other positions were, but it actually shifts all the maps because it is a positioning system. Luckily, I just came back here and I saw where the holes were and I just put it right back in the exact same spot it was. Otherwise, you could just go in and recreate the maps. It's super easy. Now, let me show you another cool feature about how the RTK system in this mower work in conjunction to mow. So obviously we're in the back of the house. The RTK thing's right there. Let's go up front, far away from the RTK system. And now we're on the complete opposite side of the house. The RTK is through the house, so it's getting blocked by it. Now, I know for a fact the connection between the RTK and the mower is blocked by the house, but somehow it's working and I'm not complaining. I think the system must be working some, but it also has the 3D vision up front. That's what all these are for. And the wipers that I showed you up front, that is what the vision is doing. It's actually sensing where its position is based on the surrounding things. How do I know that? Well, it also has a camera up top that's using objects above it. It's faced at a 45-degree right there. You could even access the cameras to see the first-person view from the mower's perspective. Oh, what's up? And I actually used that feature one time while we were inside the house. We smelled a skunk wicked bad. We thought it had gotten in the fence here because I left it open. So I drove the motor around and was using the first person view to be able to see if it was inside our fence. So I guess you could say he's our little security lookout. So I wanted to come up here and just talk about the obvious concerns that a potential customer might have when it comes to these mowers. First and foremost, cost. Everybody knows these things are expensive. Obviously, the technology is pretty advanced. So my mower was $2,200 as tested with the bagging system, with extra blades, all of that stuff. Now that's a huge investment, but I don't think you're comparing it against, you know, someone who's going to the Home Depot and looking for a push mower or something like that, especially an electric one. I think this is more geared towards someone who's not looking to mow their yard, to have like a lawn care company replaced or something like that. They're tired of dealing with people mowing their lawn. They just want something autonomous to take care of it and not have to think about it. In terms of that, you know, our yards aren't that big in my neighborhood. I think the average cost of a mow for a lawn care company is probably around $50. I might be overshooting that a little bit, but our mowing season's pretty long. Like I would say 4 months is fair, 32 weeks, take off a few for rain and drought, and you're looking at $1,500 that somebody's spending a year. You know, that could be higher or lower, so you're really looking at someone looking to replace that cost. So $2,200 by the second season, you're getting your return on investment there. That's where it'd be beneficial for somebody, and that could be even sooner, especially if you're in the South and your season's longer and it's more expensive. That return on investment will come sooner. So the second thing, cut quality. Is a robot really going to cut it that well? Well, I explained to you, it's not going to bush hog your yard. It's not meant for tall grass that's going to chunk it down more than a third of the way. This has the razor blades, which are really sharp and they will do a great job, but it's meant for that daily maintenance. That's the mentality of this mower. It's set up to cut every other day or something like that, to stay on top of it. That way it never has to cut low, but that's the beauty of the setting. You can set it and forget it and do it all through the app. That way you're never worried about it. You don't have to think about it, and it'll stay on top of that. You'll wake up and look outside and your yard will already be mowed. And the beauty of it is you can set the alternating pattern. So one day it could cut 90 degrees. The other day it could cut horizontally. It'll take care of the quality in that sense. So a big question, will it replace a lawnmower if you already have one? Well, personally, I'm not gonna get rid of my mower because I use it for a lot of applications. I have a lot of different grass and stuff. Could it? Absolutely. You don't need a mower if you have this. One thing I'd like to say is, you know, someone might be like, oh, well, what if it misses a spot? Well, for example, in my front yard there, it's sloped and I had it cutting vertically and it slid a little bit. Well, I can manually go into the app and I can drive it to that spot and turn on the mower. So I can mow manually using the app. So you can do that. You can fix those little problems. Obviously, if you want to hang on to your mower and you have the space, I'm not going to say don't do that because you never know. Everything breaks the same way your mower could break, and this could be, you know, your backup. It'd be an expensive backup, and I'd much rather set this thing and just have it mowing constantly. But if you did want to hang on to it, I guess you could. But it for sure could replace a mower. Although one thing I will say is don't get rid of your weed eater, because this thing does not weed eat. Maybe in the future they will have a weed eater setting, but it's not going to line up your sidewalk or anything like that. And it does get close to the house, you know, that I showed you at the bottom where it has the 12.5-inch cut, but there is that space between the bumper and the blades. So it's not going to be able to get right up against your house. So having a weed eater on hand would be a good idea. So setup and maintenance. The setup part, I will say it's honestly easy. I was dreading that part, thinking that it's a complex system with navigation and stuff like that could get messy. It wasn't. The physical aspect of it, it came with all the tools. Once it was put together, I literally stuck it in the ground, plugged it into the wall. Then all I had to do was go download the app, and apps these days are pretty simple. It's step by step. And then in terms of maintenance, really easy. It recharges itself, so you don't have to worry about that. And then the blades, they've lasted thus far, and then when you want to replace them, you just need a screwdriver in a couple minutes. So this next topic is really important to me, theft. I have this thing mowing out in my front yard. We've had some sketchy stuff happen at the end of our neighborhood in the townhomes. I am concerned about theft constantly. While it's out there mowing, you get people stop and look at it. Rightfully so, it's really interesting. I've stopped and looked at other mowers that I've seen. So you are gonna get looky-loos, and it is gonna create interest, and it is expensive, and people know that. It's a robot lawnmower. And so what is Mammotion doing to protect against that? Well, I'll walk you through the stuff that Mammotion's done. The first thing they're doing is gonna be this app notification where it just sends you a message if it ever leaves the zone. Then there's the GPS tracking, so if it does get stolen, it will track it in real time. So then there's ownership authentication. This is at sign up. It determines who is the real owner, and then you can give permissions out to other people. The geofence alarm, I've never experienced that because I've never moved it outside of it, but it sounds like there's an alarm that will be automatically triggered. When you pick it up when it's mowing, it sounds an alarm as well. Last feature is pretty cool. You can actually put an air tag into the machine so you can track it wherever it goes, and if it gets stolen, you can have the police track it down. So I'd feel like a complete sellout if I was promoting this product and thought it was actually junk. I love this thing and I use it every other day, and if I was having constant issues with it, I wouldn't be making this video either. I've only really had a couple of issues, and this is what happened. So the first thing was when I switched my phone from an iPhone 12 to an iPhone 16. The iPhone 16 has a new iOS system or something. It's caused issues with other things as well, and there's been delayed firmware updates for multiple things. What happened was when I updated to this iPhone 16, I was no longer able to connect to my mower through the Bluetooth system. It just wasn't connecting for some reason. And that didn't even stop me from mowing. It just prevented me from being able to drive it from my app. So I was still able to mow and set the task and have the mower mow. I just wasn't able to control it, which was kind of annoying, but it was short-lived. I actually reached out to the Mammotion support, and they pushed an update through once they had it. I think it was after a couple of days. They had multiple people reach out. Then there was like another firmware issue where it was preventing the sweeper from working on perimeter laps. I'm not sure what happened there, but that was super short-lived. That was like, I don't know, a couple of days. I literally researched it on the Facebook group, saw that someone else had the problem. Then the next time I went to go use the mower, it had an update, so I just updated it and it fixed that problem. They're made aware of these issues pretty frequently from, you know, support from the Facebook group, all that stuff. So a lot of these problems are getting fixed proactively before I even experience it. Then any other issues that I've had are like the complexity of my yard, forgetting to manually set the mower height and having it scalp some of the Bermuda, which not a big deal. And then a few times it got stuck under the trampoline. Or another thing that happened was I sent it out to the front yard and the wind blew the fence closed. And then poor old Moby was stuck outside the fence, so that stuff happens. It is what it is, but you'll remember to figure those things out. So I do think this is a really cool product, and I'm wicked happy to share that Mammotion is having a Black Friday sale right now with up to 650 bucks off. I think the minimum amount off that they're discounting is 300 bucks, so you could get at least 300 bucks off this thing. Plus they throw in a replacement of cutting blades and the cutting disc actually, which is an awesome offer. So I wanted to tell you guys about that while I'm at it. And I'm gonna be real with you guys, I'm a tough customer. I get wicked frustrated when stuff like this doesn't work, so the fact that this has been a positive addition to my yard means I'm happy to vouch for it, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have, my comments, my DMs. If you guys follow me on any of my social media, you've definitely seen this before. Like I said, I use it every other day, so it's been in my stories, all that stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So if you ever want to ask me a question, or if you have any hesitations about it, feel free to shoot me a message or leave a comment, and I'll always respond honestly, because I know this is a big decision to buy one of these, and I want you to be as informed as possible. That's what I'm helping to try to do with this video. As far as the promo links go, I think they have 3 links, one for their website, one for Walmart, and one for Amazon. So I'll post all 3 of those down below, and you can purchase it off whatever you want if you decide to. So this is now the second robot that I own. I actually have a robot vacuum inside that dumps itself. Look at Moby cleaning all those leaves up. But it makes me curious what kind of technology they're gonna come out with next. Obviously, I would love for more stuff for my yard. I think one thing that would be really cool would be like a fertilizer spreader, like one of these, but it spreads fertilizer or sprays fertilizer. So just putting it out there, why don't you comment an idea or something that you would like to be autonomous down below, preferably something around the yard or the house or something, but I wanna hear some ideas, some cool ideas. Maybe we can get these guys going on it. Now, Moby, I gotta go to a dentist appointment, but you do your thing. We'll see you when I get back.